Gentlemen, sometimes betrayal doesn't start with a kiss. It starts with a sentence. The truth doesn't shout, it whispers. And only the aware hear it before it's too late. I just need some space. The emotional exit strategy. When a woman says she needs space, most men hear it as a temporary pause, a break to clear her head, to breathe, to fix what's broken. But in reality, space is often the beginning of the end, disguised in soft emotional language. It's not about needing room to think. It's about creating distance to detach. It's the first stage of emotional withdrawal, where she starts disconnecting from the man she once claimed to love, one invisible string at a time. This phrase is not random, it's carefully chosen. Because it sounds harmless, it doesn't spark panic. It gives her time. Time to adjust to being without him. Time to test how it feels when he's not around. And sometimes, time to get closer to the person already waiting on the sidelines. Space becomes a polite way of saying, I want to see what life feels like without you, but I'm not ready to admit that yet. Every unfaithful woman begins her exit in silence. She doesn't slam doors or start fights. She slowly starts fading. Less texting, fewer calls. The enthusiasm in her voice disappears. Her responses become shorter, her tone colder. She starts saying things like, I just need some time to think, or I feel overwhelmed. But what she's really doing is mentally separating herself from the relationship. She's testing emotional freedom while keeping the safety net of the current one. An emotionally loyal woman seeks connection when things feel off. She communicates, she expresses, she leans in. But an emotionally unfaithful woman seeks distance. That's her form of control. She creates gaps so she can explore her emotions without accountability. When she says she needs space, she's really saying she doesn't want to feel watched while she decides where her heart truly lies. The space she asks for is often already filled. It's not empty. There's someone else's voice echoing in it, someone who makes her feel alive again, someone who reminds her of the thrill she's missing. That's why she needs space. Not because she's confused, but because she's tempted. And she can't fully explore that temptation while still being emotionally tied to the man who trusts her. In her mind, this is a safe move. She tells herself she's not cheating, she's just figuring things out. But every time she texts the other man, every time she shares her thoughts, her frustrations, her day, she's not seeking clarity, she's building a connection. Emotional betrayal doesn't start with a kiss. It starts with comfort, with attention, with the words, I just need some space. She opens the door for that comfort to step in. This phrase also gives her moral protection. If things go wrong, she can always say, we were on a break, or I told you I needed time. It's her emotional insurance policy. A way to do what she wants without fully breaking the rules. The truth is, she doesn't want confrontation. She wants freedom without guilt, distance without consequence. And the easiest way to get it is to make it sound innocent. Most men don't see it coming because they hear space and think patience will fix it. They wait. They give her room. They back off, thinking it shows maturity. But all they're really doing is making it easier for her to drift further away. The silence she asked for becomes her playground of secrets. The time she needed becomes her testing ground. The distance she created becomes the bridge to someone else. By the time she returns, she's already changed. Her emotions have shifted. The connection feels hollow. She might still come back physically, but emotionally she's long gone. The woman who once reached for you now keeps her phone close, her thoughts private, her heart guarded. That's the hidden meaning behind I just need some space. It's not a pause in love. It's the preparation for betrayal. You're overthinking it. The deflection shield. When a woman says, you're overthinking it, she isn't trying to calm you down. She's trying to redirect you. It's not reassurance. It's redirection. This phrase is the verbal smokescreen that hides what she doesn't want you to notice. It's the moment she starts gaslighting your intuition, making you question the very instincts that were warning you something isn't right. Because deep down, she knows you've begun to sense a shift, a change in tone, energy, attention, and she can't afford for you to connect the dots. Unfaithful women rarely get caught because they're skilled at emotional misdirection. They know the power of language, and they understand how to twist perception. You're overthinking it. is one of their sharpest tools. Not because it sounds malicious, but because it sounds logical. It plays directly into a man's desire to appear rational, not paranoid. When she says those words, she's subtly framing you as the problem, not her behavior. Suddenly, you're not a man with intuition. You're a man with insecurity. The real brilliance of this phrase is how it flips the emotional script. She takes your valid suspicion and dresses it up as irrationality. You start to second-guess yourself. You replay conversations in your head, trying to see if you really did overreact. And that's exactly where she wants you, in a loop of self-doubt. Because as long as you're questioning yourself, you're not questioning her. The deflection shield is up, and she's safe behind it. When a woman starts using this phrase repeatedly, it's rarely a coincidence. It's a defense mechanism. She uses it when she's emotionally invested somewhere else, but still wants to maintain control of her current situation. She's not ready to lose the security you provide, but she's also not ready to stop enjoying the thrill of the secret she's keeping. Your overthinking it keeps the illusion alive a little longer. It keeps you quiet while she decides how far she wants to go. The psychology behind it is deeper than most realize. An unfaithful woman often lives in a state of emotional contradiction. She wants to feel desired by another man, but not judged by the one she's betraying. So she manipulates reality, reshaping it in a way that allows her to do both. Every time she says you're overthinking, she's creating emotional cover, a narrative that paints her as misunderstood rather than deceitful. Notice how she says it, too. It's never with anger. It's calm, dismissive, sometimes even playful. That tone isn't random. It's designed to make you feel foolish for asking questions, because if she can make your suspicion look like insecurity, she wins without ever having to explain herself. This is psychological warfare disguised as affection. She'll smile, touch your hand, and say, "You're overthinking it, babe." But what she's really saying is, "Don't look too closely. You might see the truth." And the truth is, when your intuition is right, you feel it in your gut long before you find proof. But her goal is to blur that instinct, to turn your clarity into confusion. Over time, her words start to condition you. You stop asking questions. You start accepting half answers. You begin silencing yourself to avoid being labeled as paranoid. And once that happens, she's free to move how she wants. The cage door opens, and you're the one holding it open for her, thinking you're being understanding. What most men don't realize is that "you're overthinking it" is usually said when you're getting close to the truth. It slips out when your observation hits too close to home, when you ask why she suddenly hides her phone, why her schedule's changed, or why she's emotionally distant. Instead of addressing the question, she attacks your perception. Because if she can make you doubt your reality, she can rewrite it. This phrase also protects her from guilt. If you stop pressing, she doesn't have to lie directly. She can keep the image of honesty without being honest. She convinces herself she's not deceiving you. You're just reading too much into things. It's a way for her to cheat not only on you, but on her own conscience. "You're overthinking it" isn't a phrase of peace. It's a phrase of preservation. It keeps her world from collapsing while yours slowly begins to. "He's just a friend." The classic cover-up. There are few phrases in the female vocabulary more dangerous than "he's just a friend." On the surface, it sounds harmless, even innocent. But beneath that calm tone lies the perfect disguise for emotional infidelity. It's the line every unfaithful woman uses when she needs to mask a connection that's already crossed invisible boundaries. "He's just a friend" isn't a reassurance. It's a warning wrapped in denial. It's the line she uses when she wants to protect her secret without having to lie outright. When a woman says those words, she's not explaining. She's deflecting. She's setting up a psychological barrier between you and the truth. It's not about convincing you that nothing's happening. It's about convincing herself that what she's doing isn't wrong. It gives her moral cover. It allows her to continue indulging in attention and validation while keeping her conscience clean. Because if he's just a friend, then she's not crossing a line. She's just being social, just being kind, just being misunderstood. This phrase appears when emotional intimacy starts to shift. Maybe she's begun sharing parts of herself with another man that she no longer shares with the one at home. Maybe she started looking forward to his messages, laughing a little harder at his jokes, or turning to him when she's upset. None of that looks like cheating on paper, But emotionally, the betrayal has already begun. The friendship becomes the bridge, and every innocent conversation is a step closer to crossing it. The brilliance of "he's just a friend" lies in how it manipulates perception. It paints you as insecure for even noticing the connection. The moment you question it, she can flip the narrative. "You're jealous," she'll say. "You don't trust me." And suddenly, you're defending yourself while she continues to build emotional intimacy elsewhere. That's the trap. She hides disloyalty behind the mask of normalcy, using the idea of friendship as a shield against accountability. A loyal woman understands emotional boundaries. She knows when attention crosses the line from casual to intimate. But an unfaithful woman convinces herself that her connection with another man is harmless, even when it's clearly not. She'll compare him to you subtly. She'll mention him in passing, maybe too often, maybe with too much warmth in her tone. She'll say he understands her, that he listens in ways others don't. These are the clues that she's already emotionally invested, even if she refuses to admit it out loud. And when you sense it, when you notice the subtle changes, the late-night texts, the new energy, the way she guards her phone, she'll use this phrase to shut it all down. "He's just a friend" becomes her firewall. It allows her to continue the double life without confrontation. It's her verbal permission slip to keep playing with emotional fire, because as long as she can call it friendship, she can pretend it's not betrayal. This phrase also works because society normalizes it. Everyone has friends of the opposite gender, right? So when she says it, it doesn't raise alarms for anyone but you. That's what makes it such an effective disguise. It hides infidelity inside something that looks socially acceptable. It makes her seem reasonable and you seem possessive. That dynamic gives her control. She gets to be seen as the calm, logical one, while you appear jealous or paranoid. What most men don't realize is that by the time she says, "he's just a friend," that friendship has already taken emotional priority. She might not have crossed a physical line yet, but mentally she's already halfway out the door. She shares her thoughts, her frustrations, her excitement, everything that used to be yours. And in her mind, because there's no physical betrayal yet, she's still loyal. That's the lie she tells herself to sleep at night. Eventually, that friendship becomes the safety net she runs to when the relationship starts falling apart. He's the one she vents to, the one she confides in, the one who understands. But understanding becomes attachment, and attachment becomes justification. She'll tell herself she didn't cheat. She just found someone who gets her. That's how emotional infidelity disguises itself. It doesn't start with lies. It starts with a friendship she swears is nothing. By the time the truth surfaces, the connection has already deepened beyond repair. The friend she told you not to worry about has become the person she compares you to, the person she defends, the person who knows more about her emotions than you do. And when she finally says, "We just clicked," that's when you realize the clicking started long before you noticed, right when she first said the words, "He's just a friend." "You don't trust me?" The guilt anchor. When a woman says, "You don't trust me?" it sounds like a simple question, but it's not. It's a psychological maneuver. It's the moment the conversation shifts from her actions to your emotions. Instead of addressing what she's doing, she flips the focus onto how you feel. Suddenly, you're not questioning her behavior, you're defending your trust issues. It's not curiosity anymore, it's accusation. And that's exactly the point. This phrase is the unfaithful woman's guilt anchor, a tool she uses to emotionally disarm and control the situation before the truth ever comes close to the surface. Unfaithful women know that trust is sacred to a man. They know that being seen as trustworthy gives them power, and the fear of losing that image drives their manipulation. When she says, "You don't trust me?" she's not looking for reassurance. She's demanding submission. She's trying to make you feel like the bad guy for noticing the things she doesn't want you to notice. It's emotional judo. She uses your own love, loyalty, and fear of being controlling against you. That one sentence carries hidden weight. It puts you on the defensive, making you explain yourself instead of holding her accountable. "Of course I trust you," you say, trying to prove you're not paranoid. But in doing so, you give her exactly what she wants: freedom from suspicion. She watches your reaction closely. If you back off, she knows the tactic worked. If you hesitate, she'll double down, using emotion to override logic. She'll sound hurt, maybe even cry, playing the role of the misunderstood victim. The guilt anchor tightens the moment you start feeling sorry for her instead of standing firm. The reason this phrase is so effective is because it preys on emotional conditioning. Men are taught that love requires trust, and that doubting a woman is disrespectful or toxic. So when she questions your trust, it strikes at your sense of morality. It makes you doubt your instincts, your perception, even your own reality. And while you're busy wrestling with guilt, she's quietly maintaining her double life, appearing innocent while hiding intentions that no longer align with loyalty. Every unfaithful woman eventually reaches a point where suspicion enters the room. She senses it. She feels it. That's when "you don't trust me" becomes her shield. It's the moment she weaponizes vulnerability. She'll say it softly, like she's hurt. She might add, "After everything we've been through?" Or, "I can't believe you'd think that of me." These aren't just words, they're hooks. Emotional hooks designed to pull your focus away from the facts and into the feelings. Because the moment you start comforting her, you stop confronting her. This phrase also works because it forces emotional debt. When you reassure her, you unknowingly give her more credibility than she deserves. She banks that credibility like currency. So the next time you notice something off, a hidden chat, a strange call, a new friend, she can cash it in again. "You said you trust me," she'll remind you, using your own words as chains. What began as reassurance becomes her defense. You become trapped in the very trust she manipulated you into giving. In truth, "You don't trust me" is never said by a woman who's fully innocent. A faithful woman doesn't need to guilt you into trusting her. Her consistency earns that trust naturally. But the one who's hiding something needs shortcuts, emotional leverage that overrides logic. It's not trust she's after, it's control over your perception. If she can make you feel wrong for doubting her, then she never has to prove her innocence. This phrase also feeds her self-narrative. By turning your suspicion into an attack, she casts herself as the victim. It allows her to rewrite the story in her own mind. She's not being unfaithful, she's being unfairly accused. That narrative eases her guilt and gives her the emotional justification to continue doing what she's doing. In her mind, you've already hurt her by doubting her, so anything she does after that feels less like betrayal and more like revenge or validation. The more emotionally attached you are, the stronger this tactic becomes, because love blinds reason. You'll find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, feeling bad for simply noticing patterns, second-guessing every instinct that once protected you. That's the quiet victory of the guilt anchor. It doesn't need to win loudly. It just needs to make you silence yourself. By the time most men realize what's happened, the manipulation has already reshaped the entire relationship dynamic. You start walking on eggshells, afraid to bring up concerns. She seems calm, confident, unbothered. That's because the guilt anchor works best when it makes you carry the emotional weight she should be facing. It's not about earning your trust. It's about controlling your doubt. Every time she says, "You don't trust me," she's not proving loyalty, she's protecting her lie. "I deserve to be happy," the justification mask. When a woman says, "I deserve to be happy," it might sound empowering, but when it comes from the lips of an unfaithful woman, it's not about empowerment, it's about escape. This phrase isn't about growth or healing, it's about rewriting guilt into self-righteousness. It's the final layer of emotional armor she builds to justify betrayal. It's not an apology. It's a declaration that she's done feeling bad for what she's already chosen to do. At first, she doesn't say it out loud. It starts as a quiet thought, a whisper in her own mind. Maybe she's already emotionally involved with someone else. Maybe she's lost interest in the relationship she's in. Or maybe she's chasing something she thinks she's missing. But before she crosses that line, she needs to convince herself that what she's about to do isn't wrong, that it's necessary. So she feeds herself a story, that she's been misunderstood, neglected, or unappreciated, that she's tried everything and nothing works, that she deserves more. By the time the words, "I deserve to be happy," come out, the betrayal has already been mentally justified. This phrase is powerful because it hides selfishness under the illusion of self-care. It sounds like strength, but it's actually surrender. It's her way of saying she's choosing what feels good over what's right. When she says it, She's no longer thinking about the person she's hurting. She's thinking about how she can turn her disloyalty into a story of emotional awakening. She's not cheating, she tells herself. She's finding herself. She's not abandoning someone, she's choosing happiness. That's how she makes betrayal look noble, by painting herself as the victim who's finally breaking free from unhappiness. The truth is, I deserve to be happy usually surfaces when she's already emotionally detached. It's not a realization, it's a justification. It's her mind's way of turning guilt into permission. She tells herself that the relationship wasn't fulfilling, that she wasn't treated right, that she stayed longer than she should have. But those are not reasons. They're rationalizations. Every unfaithful woman needs a story that makes her betrayal sound like a healing journey. I deserve to be happy becomes that story. She'll use this phrase to rewrite the past too. Suddenly, every moment that was once good becomes reinterpreted as something that held her back. Every act of love turns into a sign of control. Every disagreement becomes proof that she was never truly herself. It's a psychological cleansing, washing away the parts of the relationship that would otherwise make her feel guilty. She's not running away from love. She's running toward what she thinks she's owed. That's what makes this phrase so deceptive. It's not driven by truth. It's driven by ego disguised as enlightenment. This line also serves as her shield from accountability, because the moment she says it, she places happiness above loyalty, desire above discipline, feelings above integrity. And once happiness becomes the ultimate goal, anything that threatens it becomes the enemy, even the person who once loved her. That's why when you confront her, she doesn't show remorse. She shows justification. She doesn't want forgiveness. She wants validation. She wants you to understand that in her mind, she didn't betray you. She simply chose herself. An unfaithful woman who uses this phrase often does so to rewrite the narrative in her favor. It's how she avoids being the villain in her own story. Because in her version, she's the one who suffered, endured, and finally decided to take control. That story gives her the strength to silence guilt. It turns betrayal into bravery. And the more she repeats it, to herself, to her friends, to anyone who questions her, the more she believes it. But beneath the surface, the truth is simpler. I deserve to be happy is her emotional exit sign. It's not about happiness. It's about freedom. It's about wanting to feel something new without admitting she destroyed something real. It's about wanting the thrill of being desired again, the rush of attention, the excitement of starting over, without facing the mirror of accountability. The phrase becomes her emotional passport, letting her cross moral borders without feeling like she's doing something wrong. It also marks the moment she stops listening. Once she believes she deserves happiness no matter the cost, she shuts down emotionally. Logic doesn't reach her anymore. Loyalty doesn't move her. Everything becomes filtered through the lens of her personal satisfaction. The people she hurts along the way, they're just part of the story she had to outgrow. That's the final transformation of unfaithfulness, when she stops seeing what she's done as betrayal and starts seeing it as destiny. That's the hidden truth behind "I deserve to be happy." It's not a cry for peace. It's a statement of release. It's the line that separates the woman she used to be from the one she's convincing herself she needs to become. It's the sentence she tells herself when she's already decided to walk away, even if her feet haven't moved yet.